So, today we're going to talk about boundaries, right? What are our boundaries at work? What are our boundaries in relationships? And how can we feel more in control of what we are really doing, right? Um, so, let me give you the formula for this. The formula for this is 50%, 50%, 50-50, which means that in any conversation, in any transaction, in any relationship, there is a 50% part which is your contribution, and there is a 50% part which is the contribution of the other person. If you stay silent in a meeting, if you stay silent in a relationship, if you do not have anything that you're contributing or asking for, or any kind of a question, even if it's at the level of curiosity, then that particular relationship actually crosses your boundary. So instead of having a 50-50% relationship, the relationship is 100% from one end, because you are neither contributing nor doing anything in that relationship. Now, what is the need to do something like that? I mean, I can just go to work, I can just do my work and then just rush out and then just, leave this meeting, because at the end of the day, I'm only doing it for money. Or what is the point of getting into, say, a kind of a tussle in a relationship where I know that the other person is not going to listen to me or pay heed to me? The point is that this is something that dampens your energy, and when your energy level comes down, there'll be more people who will kind of cross your boundary and make you feel worse than how you're feeling, and eventually your own inner relationship with yourself becomes weaker with every transaction and with every relationship. So if you really want this to work for you, always keep in mind a 50-50%. And for people who find it difficult to assert themselves, what does assert mean? Assert means to say a point of view firmly, clearly, but without genuinely attacking somebody. That is being assertive. So, if you want to be assertive in a relationship, where you want to put a point across, you want to put an opinion across, you want to talk about something that you believe in, you want to make yourself be heard, so that people are able to hear you as well. It's important that you understand that it's a 50-50% relationship. So let's take a work situation. You're at work and you have nothing to say in a meeting, and you're in a rush, and it doesn't really matter to you because work is just to pay the bills. Or it's a toxic group of people where you genuinely don't like talking about anything. You've completely shut yourself off. But please remember that the others are noticing that. And this is the reason that you will find it very difficult to build an equation with them on parity. And that is why people will eventually try to supersede you. And you will find that uncomfortable. So if you have nothing to say in a meeting, be curious. Ask a question. Try to find out more. If you have an answer to the question, wonderful, because it might come back to you and they might ask you, okay, so what is the answer to that and what do you think? Or if you have insight, you can share that. But it should be at a basic level a contribution. The second thing that you should do is to keep your intention very, very clear. So if you're entering a meeting, you should have an intention. And you should specifically say that this is my intention, this is something that I'd like to know, or this is something that I personally feel that we could do. If you are only advocating the cause for others, chances are that you might not be doing that for yourself. So advocate the cause for others, but not more than 50%. Try to advocate the cause for yourself as well. That is how you get a parity, an equal kind of response. And energy is something everybody can read. So don't fool yourself by saying nobody's really noticing. Everybody notices energy. The next thing is that if you've followed up on something with one of your colleagues or even with your boss, and the next time that person comes back Before the person enters your boundary again and asks you again for a favor, you should circle back again with curiosity and say, well, what happened to that last discussion that we had? I'd like to know more about it. So that people think and understand that they can't take you for granted. Now let's come to personal relationships. In personal relationships, what is important is that the relationships are really very important, right? But at the same time, if you're not going to be true to yourself, people are completely going to walk all over you and you're not going to like it. Nobody likes it. So, even in personal relationships, keep your intention very clear. Ask questions with curiosity and try to see that you're keeping a 50-50. And wherever you think that that relationship is becoming a 100% on one side, try to put your foot down, try to assert yourself, and learn to say no to a few things. And at the same time, because personal relationships are really, really important, and sometimes even professional relationships, talk about the value of the relationship when you assert yourself. So you can very clearly say, I really value this relationship that we have, but I'm sorry, I differ on this point. And just leave it there. If you think it's getting into more of an argument kind of thing, because people who are not used to you are pushing back will push you back immediately the moment you start pushing back and say, you know what, let's have this discussion later or let's take this up offline. So these are just a few tips that I wanted to talk about regarding boundaries. It's very important that you protect your boundaries. It's very important that you protect yourself to feel better about yourself. Your self-worth is in your hands, and it's always possible to lead a life where you feel worthy of yourself. So use these tips. Let me know what you think about that, and catch you again. Bye-bye.